Well, I didn't see it coming that the double boot episode is technically two episodes, although it wasn't edited like it was two different episodes because the first tribal actually happened kind of early in the episode, and then after the second tribal, we had the extension where we hear about the Edge people getting ready to leave. And if you go to Rob Cesternino's Know It Alls vid for this, he actually lists it as one episode, whereas to my knowledge, pretty much every time since Kagayan onward, every time they've done this, he's always classified it as two episodes. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so everyone comes back from Tribal after voting out Kim. And we're in the same position as we have been for the last couple of Tribals. It's either get rid of Jeremy or Tony and Sarah considering Plan B, which invariably ends up with them discussing voting out Ben for a few seconds, but then ultimately they decide against it. And this episode has really officially stated in my mind that Ben has no chance of winning this, thank you, but that's not to say that he can't influence what's going on. We'll have to see how that goes. So then we've got that first immunity challenge. I think that's the most major thing that comes up. Sure, there's discussions with everyone, but that's just everyone trying to cover their backs with everyone. At this point, especially with this game, everyone talks to everyone, despite the fact that it's kind of obvious in some cases that there's not that much going for them there, because Michelle, she doesn't have that many options to talk to people. Jeremy, yeah, he's got more charisma, but yeah, he had to rely on the Tony group to help him out. Because really, that dude was really lucky this season. Sheesh. But it's kind of interesting to see that, because as Dr. Ross points out, Jeremy was in the driver's seat, well, partial driver's seat, because as I said, it did seem to be an even hierarchy in that alliance for virtually the entire time in both of his previous seasons, until he was voted out in San Juan del Sur, and then Spencer decided to take out Steven, and then goes back to Jeremy in the very next episode, albeit it wasn't very smooth. But this time, he didn't ever really have that much control. And even when he's got advantages, he's so flaky about it. It's crazy, you know? But at the same time, as Jeff and Dr. Ross point out, if you read between the lines, this isn't Jeremy sucking at the game. This is Jeremy's position in the game sucking. Because you can argue that Michelle hasn't accomplished much this season, and I wholeheartedly agree with that she hasn't, but has she been trying? I'd say yes every time, but she's trying. So that immunity challenge, I was surprised at how well everyone seemed to do at that ball thing, especially since in this version of it, they had a rope line at about head height that forced everyone to crouch down a little. Now, granted, I think half of the people, Tony, Nick, and Denise, were hunching over anyway, but I don't remember that being in season 38. So that was a nice twist. And Nick pulling it out, I seem to recall that one of his immunity wins was a slide puzzle. I could be wrong on that. Was it? It wasn't Final 5, because that was the stacking the phone puzzle bit, and you could easily realize that you made an hour backtrack. And then the fourth one was the Token Teens final challenge, so it might have been Final 6. I wish I could remember what that challenge was, but yeah, but some people are good at slidey puzzles. Others, like Tony, are not, although he did seem to make some progress. I think he had half in there, and I think either Ben or Sarah managed to get most of it, and it wasn't, zooming in close on the puzzle. No, 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 no. You could tell they did get significant progress, but it gets harder the more that you solve. Those are tough puzzles. So once again, Nick saves himself from being voted out because I'm willing to wager that had he not won the final 6 in David vs. Goliath, I think he would have been booted, and there's also a decent possibility for the final 5 as well. Not sure. I mean, like, in the interviews, Nick, Mike, and, what's-her-face? No, it wasn't Allison, she was Final 5. Well, whoever the third best person was, I can't remember her name right now, though I think it begins with an A. They said that the three of them were pretty tight, and that they wanted it to be them in the Final 3, but I don't know, I can't help but think a lot of that was due to Nick winning those immunities. Okay, but anyways. So everyone has to go for Plan B. As I mentioned, they talk about voting out Ben for a few seconds, conclude that that's not the best idea, so then it becomes either get rid of Jeremy or get rid of Michelle, because you don't know how that advantage is going into play. So Tony comes up with the idea of splitting the vote, and they get Ben to agree with that, even though it seems like there were, 3 different groups coming up with a different plan. Oh yeah, and the idea of trying to get Ben to come up with the idea of blindsiding Nick. Clever idea on Tony and Sarah's part, but I was really worried it would come back to bite them, because when Ben started saying, let's get rid of Michelle, I was like, is he trying to take too much control here? So I was worried it would come back to screw them. Thankfully it didn't. But then there's the big question of what is Nick going to do? Because the safer option is to stick with the Tony and Sarah group, which is the main thing that he's been doing this whole time. Or is he going to help Jeremy out? But he comes to the conclusion at some point in there that Jeremy you can't beat, and then also working with Jeremy directly doesn't really provide him with anything. Working with Michelle directly provides something. Working with Tony provides him something. So, we get to the tribal. Michelle gets spooked, but then again, she had to use the advantage then, or it wouldn't matter. And like, I was kind of hoping that it would end as not safe, just to add to the suspense, but it ended up being safe. But I wasn't that bothered by it, because I knew that she wasn't going anywhere regardless, because Nick would have either voted for... Actually, wait a minute. Okay, I can't remember which gender voted for which person, because it was either Nick would have voted for Ben and he would have gone, or Jeremy would have gone, which is what did happen. So really, it didn't matter at all what Michelle did. And like I kept saying, she paid 4 fire tokens for a chance to be safe. Though, I will say that having that advantage and having it exposed didn't create hostility like Jeremy's advantage did, which is, I think, again, why Janet didn't go for it in last season, because she knew that if she played that, it wouldn't look good for her. Smart. So Jeremy finally runs out of luck and walks down the path. Well, that couldn't go on for forever, and there really was something telling me you shouldn't place him as one of your picks. Now, if you were to put a gun to my head, when I was making the first episode vlog, I was considering putting Jeremy as a winner pick, but only times I've ever done episode 1 winner picks are when it's extremely obvious, and I've already explained this to you. Right. So then, we get another bit from the edge, and another advantage is sent into the game to Nick, and I can't remember how everyone knows that he has so many fire tokens. Like, how on earth did he get 6? Because, like, I know Tony gave him 2. Oh, and then there's 2 more that he won from immunity. There's the one that he had at the beginning of the game. Okay, somebody gave him a token. Okay, there we go. Fail? I say I can't remember it, and then I remember instantly after that. Big fail. But, again, this seems to be something that is not so much designed to help someone, but it's meant to hurt someone. Now, granted, it's not hurting the person that you're giving it to. It's they can use it for someone else, and of course, Nick didn't have to buy this, but he figures this is the last day that we can actually use fire tokens, and from what Tyson has told us about the Edge, they are the ones that actually more have a reason to hold on to their tokens, whereas for us, it's either buy these advantages, buy food for ourselves, which makes us look bad, or buy shelter for everyone else, which is going to hurt us also. So this is better than what they did with that extortion advantage, but it should really just be have it help the person that you're giving it to and leave it at that. Enough with the negative consequence business. Okay, especially with how many new advantages you're creating. Like, this is really getting into overkill, if you ask me, because when they introduce extra vote, then you go to the steal a vote later, and then you have at least one of those present in the seasons afterward. Wasn't bad, but then you had both of them in Game Changers, and then I think in Ghost Island, even though that was the theme of the season advantages, it just started getting to be overkill. And then the Idol Nullifier, I was actually rather excited about that thing, because I'm like, yeah, this is going to be an excellent recurring thing. Well, it is recurring, except you only do it one time per season. When I thought that this would be something that you do like an idol. Because I think the nullifier is actually a really good idea. I mean, like, I think having one per tribe is a little bit overkill, so just have one hidden at the merge. You know? Just all these random things just popping up over and over again, it's really getting to be overkill. Establish something and then continue it. Now, I'm sure that the producers are like, we want to keep people on their toes, but it's kind of driving me crazy. I really do think you need to dial it back. We'll see how that works, because who knows when they're going to be doing another season of this show, or any Survivor season, really. Okay. But him buying it, well, it makes sense. Just not enough time to do anything else. And then playing it against Ben, and yet he performs as well as he did at the Immunity Challenge. I'm kind of surprised, because he's seems to be the tallest person out there, and he's got fairly muscular limbs, so that's not exactly the best combination, although maybe if you're short and muscular, that makes it worse, because if you're tall, you can kind of overcome... what am I saying? He's not a sumo. I keep forgetting that even though if you've got muscle, most people, the muscle tone doesn't actually push the skin out on your arms or your legs. Your chest, oh yeah. I would know. But, right. I was kind of impressed with how he was actually able to catch up, but then Michelle is able to pull out the, oh yeah, someone's in real trouble, and then gets the immunity win. Congrats to her. And then, again, you got to deal with a Plan B situation, and this time it was a lot harder to really pinpoint it. And then we've got Denise stating that she thinks that she's in trouble, so she's going to use her file tokens to get rice for everyone, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, I'm like, there's really not that much you accomplish by doing that, and I don't think that you need it. Granted, her name was legitimately being thrown around, but there was just something in my mind going, just not the right idea to get rid of Denise. Like, why would you do that? And before you say challenge Beast, again, she only wins the gender-divided immunities every time. Okay? Most of the other times she's not even close. Yeah, there's the jury story, but it's the same. Oh wait, no, because Sierra Bloverswato had a greater chance of winning the game than Tina did, despite what I thought. Never mind. And then Tony and Sarah start throwing out Nick again, but again, the chaos of the episode threw me for a bit of a loop, but I should have just simply done some thinking about it and go, they've had tons of times to get rid of Ben, and they haven't. And you don't think that Denise is going anywhere because of her edit, and Michelle can't be voted out. She has immunity. Who does that leave Tony and Sarah to target? Nick. So if I had just taken a moment to think about that, it would have been extremely obvious, but even then, I couldn't predict who was going heading into Tribal Council, which thankfully this one and last one haven't been super chaotic. Thank you. I feel really better about that. And then Nick takes the walk. Well, he did play a game that was pretty similar to last time, except I was a lot more aware of it this time, which I appreciate, but it wasn't just Nick that I had an issue with on Daily vs. Goliath. Like, that whole season's edit really, really confused me. Because as I said in my review for it, I liked the season, but not as much as the crowd. That edit confused me way down too much, unfortunately. Because that cast did have something to offer. This time I've been a little bit confused, but that's because they have to cram in too much with all these big characters. Though I'm really trying too hard, honestly, because while I've been enjoying this season again, it just feels too much that they're trying to accomplish in one season. It's kind of like Game Changers, except I'm tempted right now to say that this is better than Game Changers, but I gotta see the finale. Okay. And then we get the little bit from the edge, and as it turns out, that block that I've been saying that has a lot of tokens, it turns out Natalie's been mostly pocketing those. Not to say that there aren't other ones to go around, because Natalie has advantages and she can still use her idol that she bought previously. Same thing with Rob, which I was rather surprised by, but I'll take it. And then we've got Tyson, Ewell, Wendell, although I don't think we saw Wendell or Sophie getting advantages in the challenge, because that's the only thing they can buy, unless they want to go for peanut butter. But why would you go for peanut butter at this point? You want to get back in the game, especially since I'm sure Denise at Tribal Council flat out said that there's more rice. Okay. So we've got a whole bunch of people with advantages. I think I said Parv, 2, Tyson. Yeah, then Natalie gives Tyson another idol, which I'm kind of surprised by, but I guess she figures that Tyson has a really good shot of winning again to get back into the game. So Natalie's like, why don't I just help someone else that I really trust? So I think that's rather nice of her. And then again, those tokens are just going to be souvenirs, so why not give it a try? You know? I don't blame her for that. So who do I think is going to win this? Everyone seems to be thinking it's going to be Tyson or Natalie, but I actually wouldn't be too surprised if it's Tyson or Sophie. Why Sophie? I don't know, just something in my mind is telling me. But I will admit, if it's anyone besides Nick, Jeremy, or Sophie, although Jeremy and Nick, they don't have advantages, so I don't see how they can really pull that off. If it's anyone besides those three, I'm definitely going to be arguing that Tony and company should be getting rid of them. Because I don't want a repeat of what happened in season 38, even though I do like these people, and it would be nice to see Pav getting back in the game, so that way she could be in there for one more day, and then tie Boston Rob as player with the most amount of days in the game proper. Because if I'm doing the math right, Rob has 131 in the actual game. I don't count anything that he did from last season. Oh, he was out there, okay, but it's a totally different category. Same thing with all the Edge days during the merge portion, because I don't think it's, as I said, I don't think it's really fair to not count Edge days before the merge as a separate category, because they proved themselves. They were able to survive out there for 2.5 weeks-ish. So I say I credit them with those, even though I didn't do that for Robin Pav just a few seconds ago. But during the merge, totally put it as a separate category. But since all these people are attorneys already, it's just tough with this Edge business, because they are surviving, but at the same time they aren't playing. Yeah. Definitely Redemption Island over this. Because, well, again, that's just, because at least Redemption Island are playing something! And they have to do the work themselves, whereas here, you could just send 2 people up to get the rice, and then, Right. So I think I answered who I want to see get back, who expect to see who gets back on the Edge. Right. So then assessing the 5 people remaining in the game. Ben, I've already explained him, even though he's got that idol in his pocket and he can influence some of the votes. I can't see how this guy wins this game, and I'm still rooting for him to go, though odds are he's going to get brought to the end as someone who has no shot at winning. Michelle, okay, she does have some friends on the jury, which is probably why Tony and Sarah are still going to target her, but rationally, you shouldn't give her the win. You shouldn't. Because, I'm sure that a good amount of the old Sally members, the Blue Tribe, are going to have a thing or two to say about that, and if Sophie is on the jury and Michelle isn't, I wouldn't be too surprised if she has a few choice words for her. I don't think she hates Michelle, it's just that Sophie is going to use this when it comes to dealing with Michelle. Denise, she does have a big thing on her resume, but and she is one of my picks, but I'd rather her not win this. I really would not like that, honestly. And given how she seemed to accept her fate, well, I think I have said accept your fate in some situations, but Just something about that did not seem right. Partially because I didn't feel like she was any actual danger. I was right about that. So, potential, but like with Michelle, I'd rather not see her win this. Sarah. Yeah, she's got a lot of the same pros that I've given to her in the previous times that she's played this, but she has to make sure that whoever comes back from the edge isn't there unless there's someone who has no story to tell, like Danny or Ethan, but it's not going to be them, partially because they have no advantages, and there's no way it's them. The edit would have made that clear, right? And then also she most likely would have to take out Tony, but in my mind, the only way she's going to be able to do that is to do it at the final four. Though that would be kind of interesting, though, if both of them get to the final four, Sarah gets the last immunity and then puts Tony on the fire making. That would be very interesting. Because Tony does still have an idol, and he's never had his name written down this entire season. Shockingly. Like, what the heck? No one's even brought that up, because I really am positive that... Oh, yeah, because Ben has had votes cast against him. Hello, Jeremy tried to vote him out, dude. So... Yeah, she has to get rid of Tony, because I think if it's Tony versus her... And the third person is useless, most likely Ben, but Michelle too if the jury actually thinks. I think Tony beats her, and that about sums up Tony. He's in a really, really good position here, but he's got to make it. But unlike Rick from season 38, I don't think there's going to be any curveball with that jury. That's not to say that the jury isn't going to point out problems with his game. They will, not as much as last time, because the bonds that he created with people are weaker in this season, and also these people have seen every season that all these people have had to play, so they know what Tony is capable of. They just haven't tried to... well, actually, they have tried to vote him out, but it just didn't gain any... Well, because he won immunity, dude. You see what I mean? There's just so much to keep track of this season. It's crazy. Well, so, hoping that Tony or Sarah can pull this out, and that whoever comes back from the edge doesn't hurt this season. And the Edge has definitely been better this time because of us knowing the dynamic, the mental mindset of the people that are there, and there was that possibility of that old school jury block coming up with something, but since Natalie kept all the tokens, I don't think that group's as prevalent as I thought, though I'm sure that Rob is going to have sway over Amber, Pav, and Tyson's and Ethan's vote, but that's just 5 votes, and this jury is going to end up with 16 people. No one's going to quit the game. They stuck it out there for X amount of days. They're seeing this through. Oh man, this could easily be my longest Survivor vid yet. I think, though, I did have one Cambodia Wars Apart vid that got to about a half hour. That's crazy. Alright, see you for the finale.